Hello, welcome to a new unboxing. Today will be a new JJRC model. Well, it's written on the box. In fact, it's not the H8C, it's the new version, the FPV version of this model, the H8D. And as you can see on the box, it's still the Chinese box. I guess this is the prototype box received. So I will show what you will find in this box. I guess they will change for the final release. So here is the new quadcopter. At least they write correctly the new reference on the top of the canopy, the H8D, and as I mentioned, this is the FPV version of the H8C I reviewed some time ago. Very popular, okay, far to be perfect, but it was a very popular model. Here is the H8C, and you can see. So side by side, they are strictly identical. They just changed the name there, and the novelty can be located beneath. You have the only camera version on the C version and the FPV version here with a new camera module, including a DVR. You have a DVR slot there and the 5.8 GHz antenna. Okay, I will show what you can also find in the box. You will find now this new chassis of remote control. So if you already own a JJRC H12C, you will recognize this chassis. It's a very nice one. You can grab it easily with your large hands. So good news if you are more left or right throttle player, you will be able to swap and to turn into mode 1 and 2 respectively. So this is a nice feature of this remote. You have a nice LCD display with back leads, and you will find here some basic buttons to turn on and off the LEDs of the quadcopter here, to perform flip on the top right shoulder button, and here to turn on off the video, to take pictures. Well, this one is to swap between the mode 1 and mode 2 of the remote. And finally here, this is the pseudo return to home. Well, as you know, since there is no gyroscope or GPS associated with the H8D, these features is more a gadget over time. So if you engage it very late during your flight or at the end of your flight, be sure that they will return to somewhere, absolutely not to your home position. Okay, what I like in this remote, this is this wheel. Okay, it's allow you to select by a step of 1% the speed mode, so from I guess 40%. Okay, so from 40%, and you have to click to press to release. Okay, like this, up to 100%. So I will tune to 90%, for instance. And when you will select your speed mode, you have to press again, and it's selected. Okay, so what also you will find prop guards, 4 prop guards. Okay, they are very efficient. So you have a central axis there, so will absorb more or less all the shock. I will scale one of them, for example. Okay, they are close to 3 grams. Okay, so you have to add 12 grams more on your total weight of your quadcopter. You will find this LiPo. So as the H8C, it's still powered by a 2S LiPo. So I will remind a big caution to take about the motors in a few instants. But you will find the 500 milliamps per hour LiPo batteries with this kind of GST or Tamiya connector. So it's not common, you don't find any balancer plug, so be aware that to charge your battery you will need this charger. Okay, so when the battery needs to be charged, it's turning to green when it's okay, and when it's charging it's turning to red. So when you charge your plug on the wall and it's turning to green, it means that it charged. Okay. What also you will find this 2 GB micro SD card. Okay, classic. You have to insert on the slide of your camera mount module like this. Okay, until you hear a clips. Okay, like this, and you will find four spare props, 2 clockwise, 2 counterclockwise, 1 screwdriver, and this LCD display, including a sunshade. Well, it's exactly the same model that the Double Toys V6H6G versions or the JJRC versions. So it's 4.3 inch LCD, but with a very bright screen. So and the colors and the illumination is very low, so it means that even with this sunshade it's very hard to see outside in the very strong sun. So there are many tips to many modes. One of them is to cut the external border and to install a more matte one, or another mode is to construct homemade goggles like this. I have performed some time ago with a real LCDs, and you will build this kind of goggles. It will be better to be protected from the sun. Okay, so but out of the box, it's I have to say that it's very hard to fly FPV with such monitor. Well, you have to enlarge this sunshade or to do some things. Okay, whatever, you have to enclipse here on the remote control. Okay, like this. Well, one drawbacks of this monitor, it's not tighten here. That means that if you want to do fly like this, the monitor can go with you. It can be dangerous. You can give some input on the sticks. So I don't like this at all. Anyway, when you're flying like this, it's okay. The self-gravity hold by itself the LCD monitor. You have to turn on here, okay, and you have, since I didn't plug the quadcopter, you have a no signal message upring, and on the top you will find SMA connector, and linear, you have a SMA connector with a hole inside, and a linear stick antennas. Okay, well, if you plan to perform FPV more close to trees or obstacle, you should install more cloverleaf antenna in both the receiver part and on the quadcopter part. I will return on these details later. And finally, you have this small USB charging cable to charge your internal LiPo of the monitors, okay, like this. And when it's charged, it's turning to red, and when it's charging, is no LEDs, no LEDs. Okay, so when it's charging, nothing appears, and when it's charged, the red LEDs become solids. Okay, so well, I think I finished the unboxing. So I will return now to the quadcopter. It's exactly the same than the HAC. It means that by default you don't have, for example, some ball bearings. You have this bushing. I will already extract them. I will show. So this is a brown bushing, 8 bronze bushing installed in each arm. So like this. They are like this. So this is the default install in the HAC or H8D. There are 4 mm of inner diameters, 7 outers, and 2 mm width. So well, they are a little bit old, but over time they will introduce extra friction, so reduce the durability of motors. So I strongly advise to install more some real ball bearings. For example, this one, so-called Emerald 74, they are one side shield and one side open. So you can take double side shield, but the double side shield are also offering a little bit friction. So if you install correctly the one side, to avoid to dust introductions each side, for example, this one will be put like this and so on. And on each of them, if you can add a small drop of silicone oil on the ball bearing part, it will completely reduce the friction. So this is the first mode to do. I strongly advise also, when you receive it, to test manually if the motors are spinning freely with one finger like this. Okay, you don't have to feel any friction, any obstacle in the gear system here. So the contact between the brass pinion with the nylon wheel should be perfect for each motors. So this one is perfect. I already installed and oil the each motors, and I installed the ball bearings. I mean, so this one is also perfect. Okay, you have to be sure that each arms, each motors are completely spinning freely. Okay, this is the case. If not, if you can feel some little resistance, be sure that the motors will life will be completely reduced. So like any brushed motors, when you order such models, I strongly advise to order at least one clockwise motors and one counterclockwise motors as spare. Okay, so usually it's always failing on Sunday, and usually you have to wait 2 weeks or 3 weeks from the slow boat from China to repair your quadcopter. So you can accumulate a lot of frustration. So the motors are quite cheap, so order at least one clockwise, one counterclockwise in the same time this quadcopter. So the first default to not have any ball bearing installed is not fixed with this G version. So for example, compared to the double toys V6G, this is a direct competitor of this model. Both are 5.8 GHz model, but this one got out of the box some ball bearing installed. So this is a good news. I will compare later the FPV part. This is the winner, well, I would say my CB award of the first quarter of 2015. I like very much this model, and if you can mod it by installing wide lens and some cloverleaf antenna, this is definitively a really good FPV model entry. So we will see if this JJRC answer is as good. Okay, so first of all, for the ball bearings they failed, but they use a 2S LiPo powering. So if they improve a little bit the motor durability, or at least by installing some ball bearings, this one can be much more sporty than the double toy versions. So, in an external point of view, I will install the LiPo. So you have to insert the connector like this. You cannot be wrong. You have a kind of mark to not be wrong, and you install. And what I like in this model, you have a switch there. Okay, so you can install your connector whenever, and when you want to use, just turn on the switch. So you will recognize the nice LEDs band, blue on the side, white on front, a red for rear, because that's nice features, and you have a blue LEDs on the camera module. Be aware, immediately when you turn on, the FPV part is emitting. Okay, so I will show you that if I turn on the LCD monitors, you will see, okay, this is the LCD display like this, and it's transmitting very well. So concerning the frequency band is exactly the same that the double toys model. So it's broadcasting on 5645 MHz, which correspond to the frequency 4 or 5 of the Buscan band. So exactly the same frequency used. In fact, the VTX plus camera plus DVR combo of this model exactly the same than the double toys version. We could expect that. So it means, as you can see, the monitor is very bright, and the angle are not fantastic. Like this is very bright LCD. Even indoors is more or less okay, but be sure that outdoors is not exactly like this. It's much harder to see the display. What to say? Well, I will turn on the quadcopter. Okay, I will arm it by pushing throttle up and down. And when you can hear this beep, it means it's bound, the LEDs of the quad become solid like this. So it's using the V2X2 protocol. This is a good news that it's compatible with a lot of double toys or JJRC remote or Deviation TX. So I remind that to calibrate gyroscope for such model, you have first to go to 100% like this. Okay, and push both sticks in lower left position, and you will see that the quadcopter will flash fast. Oh, what? Oh, I don't know. I will start. Maybe I was too long to harm. I will turn on again. Okay. Turn on. Okay, turn. Okay, now I will go to 100%, press OK, and you will see on the quadcopter LEDs flashing fast when it's the gyroscope procedure is done. So you can return, for example, in 70%, I will fly it indoors. So be sure that the pitch rate at 100% is very sporty. So even at 70 and 80% is very sporty. So on the LCD display, if you don't press, you have with a 2 GB micro SD card, you can record up to 36 minutes, which is not bad. And well, the transmission, the camera is recording in HD ready format, means in 720p. The camera module is just excellent, like the ball toys. The image quality is even better than the HAC. So just for this new HD ready camera, the quality is much better than this camera only. So it's just great news. Well, what I can say, if you record, you press the record here, you will see that you have a time chronometer starting here, but at the double toys, you can see that the frame rate decreased when the recording is on. Okay, the frame rate seems to drop to 13 frames per second, maybe 15 and in the maximum. Wow, it means that it's still playable. What happened? Okay, it's still playable. Okay, I lost the bind, I don't know, maybe. It's still playable, but okay, maybe it was my micro SD card which maybe it was. I will start again. Sorry. Okay, and I record again. So you will see that the frame rate is dropped during recording. Okay, you can each file recorded can't exceed 500 megabytes. So it means that if you record longer flights, it will split in different multiple of 500 megabytes the file. Okay, you have to reassemble the edition. Well, it's okay. I will stop the recording. Okay, I don't know what's happened. Maybe it's become hot. Okay, now it's reworking. Well, so it's the transmission is efficient. Concerning the camera module itself, well, you have an adjustable lens. That's the good news. But the real, well, the less good news, the lens mount is got a format smaller than, for example, the double toys version. The double toy version got a lens mount size of so-called M7. It means that you can install, for example, some lens of, I will stop the quadcopter to explain, and the LCD display. You can, for example, on this model, you can, if you increase the hole here and access to the lens, you can install so-called M7 lens. Okay, like this. I will show what is it. You can find this cheap version, which costs US dollars. Okay, and you have just to unscrew the former one and to screw this one, or if you are too lazy, you can install directly another type of mount lens that you can install directly the sensor plus the lens like this. So you have to remove and clip the ribbon of the former lens and to install like this the new one with the 20 pins ribbon cable. Okay, so this one got less wider lens, but is got ER filtering, so the color are respected, and this one is much better in my opinion, but it costs close to $10 US dollars. So this is a lens associated with the 808DS16 version 3. Okay, so it's very known. I will post links in the description video. So with this model we can install either the both type of lens, okay, but with this one, I observed that the lens mount is smaller, so it means that you cannot use a cheap one anymore. This I showed previously, but since the board is strictly identical to the double touch model, I strongly feel that you can still use the 808 models. Okay, I will make a test, but I'm quite sure, I'm very confident that at least you can install this one, and you will have to enlarge a little bit the whole ear to welcome the wide lens ear. So this is the good news. Well, concerning the camera module, it's a very good one. Well, when I use it on my compared to the double touch model, is strictly identical. So if each person who got the double touch model are very surprised by the range of such module. For example, in a wide open field, you can have at least 100 meters of video transmission without problem. So in fact, the more limiting factor will be the transmission range. Since in using the VEC2X2, this one is working at 1 megabyte data rate, so is known to be a perfectible protocol, even if, for example, the last Yazan X6 got an amazing range, close to 300 meters. But in fact, for me, the double choice, thanks to the FlySky protocol, must have a better range, because this one is working at only 500 kilobytes of data rate. So with such twice the slower data rate, you can have an improvement of the range of almost twice without any incident in the control. You can feel that it's twice slower. It's the response of the stick command are also very good. So on the website they announced 300 meters of range. I'm not sure that you can reach, or maybe by optimizing the antenna inside you have to put it vertically and it should be okay. And I can remind that you can control your quadcopter with a Devo controller, for example. It's not a problem. So for example, any protocol using the V2X2. Okay, so I will bind the bicomputer, and you will see it's possible to fly. Okay, it's possible, and by default you can fly with. I will make a small demo flight. I will turn on the FPV module. Okay, like this. So here, like this, you will be able to see both. So I'm 70%. Well, no, I'm flying with the Devo in low mode. It's ultra stable. Okay, as you can see on the FPV monitor, it's very smooth. The transmission is very good. So I would try to focus more on the plant. The FPV monitor more. Like this, okay, you can see better. So you can see on the real-time transmission is very stable. So now you can see the quadcopter, as you can see, is pretty stable. Since I installed the ball bearings, it's much more less noisy than the HC version I received first. I will land. Okay, so even with deviation TX you can turn on and off the recording by pressing the, for example, the throttle trimming. As you can see, it's turning on the recording, and I can also turn off the recording by pressing again. I can take a picture by pushing up. Okay, it took a pictures like this. Well, so everything is possible thanks to the deviation TX, or you can use any compatible V2X2 radio. What can I say? To improve the range of the video, you can, and especially if you plan to fly FPV close to trees, you can try to install some cloverleaf antenna. Okay, so replace this linear antenna by soldering directly such kind of antenna. You have two versions. The lightest is the FPV-OB version, which is very light, 0.9 grams, or Banggood also receives some heavier one, but if you cut correctly, it's scaled 2.2 grams, it's acceptable. Well, I forgot to mention that the weight of the quadcopter, including the battery, is close to, I will scale it. I will use this box as star. Okay. And you will see that it's close to 148 grams, so it's pretty heavy compared, for example, to the double choice versions, which is close to 30 grams, 28 grams less. So it's huge. You have a huge difference. Of course, this one is only 1S LiPo, but 28 grams, it's a huge amount of difference of weight. Okay, this one used 2S LiPo, but be sure that the motors, even they are more or less specialized to 2S LiPo, they have to support a lot of weight for such micro quadcopter format. So I'm raising a caution about the motors. Be sure to check before the first flight if everything is spinning freely. Okay, install some ball bearing, use some silicone oils, and be sure to check that the motors are not hot after usage. Okay, and please think to stock some spare motors, at least one clockwise, one counterclockwise. So if you want to increase the video range, you have to install, for example, the best option is maybe this FPV-OB because antenna, because it's adding only 1 grams. So you have to solder this antenna, okay, and to bind it, for example, you can install it and bind it, and the antenna will be positioned like this, pointing to the ground. Since you are flying more in high, the video transmission will be like this, so it's perfect. And in these cases, if you have to you install a cloverleaf antenna on the transmission, also you have to replace this linear antenna by a cloverleaf antenna for the reception. Concerning the sensibility of the receiver, inside this LED you have a 5.8 GHz receiver. It's not fantastic. There are much more better video receiver with better sensibility. So if you have already some FPV goggles or another 32 channel video receiver, I think you will have better result with this later one. So I think, one point, I will make a small demonstration that it's possible to receive the signal on the, for example, on the Google. So I will show that on my tiny homemade Google. I will turn on the LCD now, and I will make a small latency test. Okay, so I will turn on. Okay, it will broadcast, I hope, in a few seconds. Oh, I will turn on the, yeah, I don't know, yes, it's okay, so it's there's a problem with mine. Okay, I don't know what happened. It was working 2 minutes ago. Whatever, I will test. I will make the video latency test on this one. Okay, I will put my finger, and you can see, if you can see both my finger and under transmission, you can have an estimation of the latency. So it's quite fast. You have maybe 0.1, 0. Maximum latency. When it's recording, I will start the recording. Okay, in fact the frame rate, there is just a frame rate, no extra latency, so just a drop in the frame rate. So the latency is still of 0.1 second. So okay, so this is the good news. Well, I will now finish this very long unboxing because I have a lot to say and I present some different modes. So I will write in RC groups or make some extra video how to install a cloverleaf antenna on this model, or how to swap the lens with this new format by installing the 8DS16 lens. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe my channel. Bye bye.